You will got there. Okay. See guys, when I am accessing the router, also told you one thing, that how we'll access the router in real time. We'll access this device in real time either physically or virtually, right? Like remote access or the physical access. For the physical access, I need a cable called console cable, right? And console cable looks like this. Console cable, right? This one is the console cable, you can see. So one side you can see we have RJ45 connector, we can insert it on the router, and this side I have serial port, we can connect it on the CPU. Right? If you have laptop, you need this type of connector, this type of converter, which is converting serial port into USB port. Right? And after that, on the laptop, I need one software like Putty or Secure CRT to access it. When you will access your router, you will get access in this mode. This mode. What is this mode? This mode is called user mode. This mode is called user mode. Whenever you will access router, you will access switch, right? Every time, even on firewall, you will get user mode. First mode is called user mode. Guys, user mode is used to verify the configuration of devices. Here I cannot configure the device. In this mode, we cannot configure the device, but we can verify the configuration. Not everything, but the basic verification. Right here, I can run show command, right, and see how many commands are there. Like I can check the IP address, I can check interface configuration, I can check host who have access to this device. I can check the clock, flash memory, I can check CDP neighbor, I can check the ARP table, right? So some verification commands are available here. We can check the VTP, VLAN switch, users, okay? So verification, this mode is used for verification. Like whenever you will get job in the company, right, as a fresher engineer, you will have access of this mode only, so that you cannot apply the configuration because you are fresher, right? We cannot give you the access to the device to configure it, because what if you will remove any VLAN or any IP address, the entire network will goes down. So you will have access to view the configuration, right? You can troubleshoot the basic issues. So first mode is called user mode. If I will talk about the Cisco iOS, this is about the Cisco iOS, right? First mode is called user mode. User mode, and its look symbol is this. It is used to view the basic configuration of devices. Clear? Even I have, I think, one iOS file as well. Let me check if I can find that. And if I have that, that means you have also, right? You can also find that on the drive. ISO. iOS. Yeah, here it is. This one. Cisco networking is basic. Yeah, this one here you can see, right? This is about the commands, through CLI. CLI stands for command line interface. We have two types of access, right? Like on any devices, we have two options to access the device. Either we can access it through CLI or we can access it through GUI. GUI means graphical interface, right? Like in the browser. So this router, I can access this router through CLI also or through GUI also. In both way we can configure this device, we can verify the configuration, everything we can do, right? But the CLI of router is so simple and it's easier. as compared to GUI. So that's why most of the time you will be using CLI only for the router switches. For firewall or for other vendor devices, you will be using GUI. For the Cisco, every time you will be using CLI. And this is Linux based operating system. You know, Linux is an open standard operating system, so anyone can use it. Like, I need one operating system for my company, so I can take the Linux operating system, Ubuntu, and after that we can modify that according to my requirement, right? And I can give any name to that operating system. I can say PMOS, right? Means PM networking operating system. So I don't need to design the entire operating system. I can take Linux, Ubuntu, any Linux based operating system for the reference, and then I can modify that according to my requirement. So these are the Linux based operating system, and the first mode is user mode. In user mode we can verify the configuration. You can see the iOS basic, right? So getting familiar with the modes. So first mode is called this mode, which is the user mode. It allows you to view the state of router, but you are not allowed to modify the configuration. The next mode is called enable mode, and to enter in enable mode from the user mode, you need to run command enable, right? This command will take you to the enable mode, second mode, right? And symbol is this one called enable mode. Enable mode, again, in enable mode we are not allowed to configure the device, but this is the main troubleshooting mode, main T-suit mode, right? We can verify everything here on the router. We can verify everything. The main troubleshooting mode, or you can see the verification mode. Again, if you want to go back into the user mode from the enable mode, you can run command exit. You can run exit command, then we can enter in again user mode. Okay, so these are two modes, or you can run disable command as well. Now the third mode is called configure terminal mode, right? And command to enter in configure terminal mode is this one, configure terminal, and this is the main configuration mode of router, right? So third mode is called first enable, then I will enter in enable mode, then here I will run command config t, and even you don't need to type the all words. You can type CONF, then you can put the type, you can like hit the tab button, right? It will automatically sense the command. This is the benefit. You don't need to remember the entire command. Just type few words, after that type the tab button. So once you will tap type button, it will take terminal like this. Okay, so just this is for hands-on. You can see here on the router. On the router I am in user mode. I write EN, and after that I am typing tab command, tab button, tab key. So you can see automatically it sends the command, right? So actually the reason is because there is only one command with EN, right? With these two words there are only one command, so that's why it can sense it automatically. If multiple commands are there, let's say from the EN, then you can type one more word A, and then you can type the tab button, enable. Then to enter in configure terminal, I will run CON, then tab, then T, then tab, right? Now you can see I'm in configure terminal mode. This is the main mode of configuration, right? Like if I want to do any configuration on router, I will perform here only, right? Let's say I want to configure the password. I can say enable password and Cisco 123. So you can see, right? So third mode is called configure terminal mode, and configure terminal mode looks like this, like here router, and then in bracket you will get config, right? So this is the mode only. This is the name of mode, like in which mode you are right now, right? So this command will land me in the configure terminal mode, right? After that, next mode is interface mode. Guys, if I want to configure interface of router, right? So I have to enter to the interface mode, right? And to enter in the interface mode, here after configure terminal mode, I will run command interface, and then interface type. Interface type can be, it can be Ethernet, it can be fast Ethernet, it can be Giga Ethernet, it can be serial. Got it? For an example, in case of optical fiber, what will happen? Here, this is your router, right? And on the router, you have added one card with the SFP to SFP, right? So this is your Ethernet port, Ethernet 0/0, and here you have added the SFP, right? So again, your port is nothing but the Ethernet 0/0 only. So where you will configure the IP on Ethernet 0/0 only. Okay. So cable doesn't matter the port ID, right? The port base port type meter, right? That can be your Ethernet, fast Ethernet or gig Ethernet. Okay. So let's suppose fast Ethernet. Interface type is fast Ethernet, and then interface ID. Fast Ethernet, it's fine. Then interface ID, it can be 0/0. If I'm saying 0/0, 0/0 means slot number 0 and port number 0, right? For an example, here I have one router, and on this router there are total 4 slots. How many slots are there? 4. That means how many card I can add here? Card means module. How many module I can add? 4 module, right? For an example, this is the slot number 0. This is the slot number 0. This is the slot number 1. This is the slot number 2, and this is the slot number 3. Slot number 0, slot number 1, slot number 2, slot number 3. And in each slot, I have 2 number of ports. Port 0, port 1, port 0, port 1, port 0, port 1. This way. Right? So on this router, total how many ports are there? 8 ports are there. Means how many devices I can connect? 4 devices I can connect. Right? For it can be internet router, it can be our LAN router, it can be switch, it can be PC, any device, right? And what will be the port ID of this port, guys? First slot number 0 and then port number 0, right? Port number 0, port number 1, port number 0, port number 1, port number 0, port number 1, 0, 1. Like these are the numbering of ports. So port ID of this interface is going to be 0/0. Port ID of this interface is going to be 0/1. Means slot number 0, port number 1. Right? Port ID of this interface is going to be 1/0. Right? Means slot number 1, port number 0. If I will configure IP on 1/0, so it will configure IP on which interface? On this interface. Right? This interface will get ID what? 1/1. This interface will get ID what? 2/0. This interface will get ID what? 2/1. This interface will get ID what? 3/1. This interface will get ID what? 3/0 and 3/1. This way. Hope it is clear. So to enter in interface mode, I am going to run command interface, then interface type, and then interface ID. It will land me to the interface mode, right? And then my symbol is again going to be changed to router. First I am on router, then I am under configuration mode, and then I am under interface mode, right? So for the interface you will get if, right? So that means I am on the interface of router, right? Here I can say IP address and whatever IP address you want to configure IP address, and then subnet mask. This is the command to configure IP address on router, right? So make sure you are clear with these 3 modes, 4 modes. Till now we covered 4 modes: interface mode, configure terminal mode, enable mode, and user mode, right? Here also you can see these all modes. After that, the basic configuration of routers or switches. right? And sometime guys, you will see ports like this also, 1/0/1. So this means this switch is in a stack, right? This first number belongs to a stack number, second number belongs to slot, and third number belongs to port interface. Okay, so don't worry, we'll see the stacking later. Now if I will talk about the basic configurations, see, when you will access your device, if the router do not have a saved configuration, after several line of information on the screen, you should eventually see this option. Would you like to enter the initial dialog? And you will have two options, yes or no. So you will always type no here. When you are accessing your router for the first time, you will type no here, right? See, always say n means no. We will never use setup mode. If you are going to press yes, then enter the setup mode. Then router is going to ask you many things, many information you have to provide, right? So press and hold down the control key and press C to again back from there. Wait for few seconds, then press enter, you will get back. Okay, done. Then first thing that you need to configure on the device is host name. How we can change the host name of device? So this is the command. Enable mode, run command enable to enter in enable mode, then configure terminal to enter in configure terminal mode, and here in configure terminal mode I can configure the host name. So command is host name, and after that whatever host name you want to configure on device. For an example, here I am going to say host name and Cisco. So you can see the host name is changed here. Earlier it was Cisco, the name of router, and now, sorry, earlier it was router and now it is Cisco. Fine. Then second configuration that you can practice is banner configuration. How we can configure the banner on router? Why banner is required? Banner is nothing but the basic information about the device. Like whoever is going to access this device, first they will get one message, log message, that is called banner, right? And this is the command to configure banner on router. Not only router, on switch also. Banner MOTD, and then you can use any special character, hash, at the rate, right? And after that enter the text, right? So for an example, here I am going to configure one banner, right? Let's say banner MOTD, and I am going to use any special character, let's say hash, and I am saying this router or welcome, or I can say welcome to PM networking networks, right? And again I will end the message with same character hash and just enter it. Now if I will exit from here, exit. Now you can see whenever someone will access this router, they will get first this message, welcome to PM networking networks, right? Whenever anyone is going to access this router, they will get this log message. Okay, so sometimes it's important to configure some basic information. Like here you will find, many times you will find unauthorized access or the admin username and password. Let's say you want to share the one admin username and password with anyone who is accessing your router, right? So password was Cisco 123. So here I can type that, right? Let's say this is public router. Every network engineer should be able to access this router. Non-technical guys can definitely not access it, because even they don't know how to access it, right? They don't know what is console cable. They don't know what is the telnet or SSH. So for both types of access, you are configuring the banner. So in the banner, I can say banner MOTD, and I can say username is admin and password is Cisco 123, and then I can end with the same special character, right? And here I can create the user. Now user admin and password Cisco 1 2 3 this way, right? And now exit. Now you can see the information is there, right? So anyone can get the username and password to access this router. Enable, I know the password is Cisco 123, I can access it. Okay, so sometime it's important to configure the banner, right? So just I am not saying configure it again and again, just do it once in your career. At least you should configure it once, yes or no? Then saving the configuration, you already know how to save the configuration. Saving the configuration means putting the configuration, putting the content in the NVRAM. Command is going to be copy running configuration to startup configuration, right? Or we can run command write. Then enable password. See, enable password is going to protect the CLI of your router. Enable mode, right? Like, see, whenever I will access this router, I will get access in user mode. And what I told you, that fresher engineer will always have access in user mode, right? So how they cannot get access in configure mode? They will run enable command, then it will ask for the password, right? And the fresher, if you don't know the password, you cannot enter in the enable mode. So this way we can limit the access of my router, right? So this is the first password to protect the router, which is the enable password, right? Where enable password will apply between the user mode and enable mode, right? Between user mode and enable mode. With this password can protect a user to move from user mode to enable mode. No one can enter in enable mode from the user mode without this password. Second type of password is console password, right? Here let me check. The enable password command is this one, enable password, and after that whatever password you want to configure over here. Enable command is enable password. I will share this PDF also. If you don't have, right, you can go through it. You can practice this all command once. Command is enable password, and then whatever password you want to configure. But guys, the issue with enable password is, you can see it's visible, right? It's clearly visible in the configuration. Cisco 123 was the password. So run. In the running configuration, you can see enable password is Cisco 123, right? So this password is in the plain text. If anyone have the running configuration, they can know the password, right? So if you want to configure the encrypted password, or if you want to encrypt this password, you can do it. To configure encrypted password, you can run enable secret command. Instead of enable password, we can run command enable secret, right? So for an example, here I am going to configure enable secret. Here I am going to configure enable secret, and pmnet 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, right? I have configured this and check the running configuration. So run. This time you can see my password is encrypted, right? My password is encrypted. This password is encrypted. Fine. And what is this 5? You will learn it later, don't worry. So now we have two passwords, enable password and enable secret. Which will be applied? Right? Like if I am going to exit from here and I am going to run enable command, can Cisco 123 work here? No, it's not working, right? So if both passwords are applied on the router, enable password and enable secret, then secret will work. Then secret will only work. pmnet 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. You can see I have access. Hoping it's clear. Now the verification, some verification command here, like to check the running configuration. This is the command, so running configuration, right? And then configure the console password. Now the first password is, see, if someone is going to access this router physically, so they need one laptop here or computer, then they need console cable. They can connect one end of the console cable on the router and one end on their PC, right? So guys, now Now anyone can access this router through console cable. Your router is not protected, right? So whatever ways are available to access this router, you need to protect every way. Every way you have to protect, right? So protecting console port is console password, means we need to configure password on the console port. How we can configure password on the console port? See, before configuring the password, I am able to access this router. Terminal and say okay. You can see I got the access. Done. But now I am going to protect the console port. How we can protect? Simply I can say line console 0. Line console 0, and here I can set password Cisco 123, and then I can say login. Right now, see, if I will try to access this router, still I am able to access. Done. I'm not able to access now. It is asking for the password. Not able to access. And here is the username and password. I had configured the banner, right? So this time you can see it is only asking for the password. It is not asking for the username. If you want to protect this console port with username and password both, here you can say instead of login, here we can say pm net 123456789, right? Instead of login, I can say login local, line console 0, and I can say login local, right? So the difference between login and login local is both are protecting the port. Both are protecting the port. Login and login local, both are protecting the port, but difference is what? Login is only going to protect for the password, right? It will only ask for the password, but login local is going to ask for both username and password. So depends on you which type of authentication you want to configure, right? You want user doesn't matter, right? Any user can access it if they have the password. But second scenario can be we want only this and this user should be able to access it. Let's say in my company there are 2 employees, like lots of employees are there, 100 network engineers are there. Out of 2 should have the access of router through console port, right? So name of first person is, let's say, Krishna, and second person is, for an example, Praphul Mishra, right? So I can create 2 users on my router, 2 users, right? I can say username Praphul, and the password is Praphul @123, right? And I can share this credential with Praphul. So Praphul have credential to log in to the router, right? In the same way I can create one user for Krishna. Now if I am going to create user on the router, definitely router is going to use their memory to store that information. So guys, in the real time you will have a different server for the users, right? Here I will have a different server, a separate server where I will be creating user. You will learn about this, about the TechX server, about the Radius server, right? So let's say this is what we can say, access server. And I can connect it. Now whenever someone will try to access this router, this router is going to ask for the server, right? Can I give access? Server is going to ask for the username and password. If the username and password is valid, server will tell to router, yes, allow him to access, right? If you have few number of users, only 3 to 4, you can create it on router as well, right? But 10,000 users or lakhs of user cannot be created on the router, because here we are using router for the routing, right? That is the main purpose of router. if I am using firewall, so main purpose of firewall is protecting the network, not performing routing, right? So we'll not configure the main routing on the firewall, will not create lots of user on the routers, even will not store these log messages on the router. You can see whatever configuration I am performing here, so logs. Here we are not able to run this command, but in evng I will show you. We can check the logs. So by default router is storing the logs in their own memory, in the RAM, right? But in the real time you will have one separate server called syslog server, where you will be storing the logs. So now guys, here I have configured login local, right? And let me try to access this router again. Exit. Now you can see it is asking for the username first, right? Username is admin. Here I am able to see, and the password is Cisco 123. So you can see I have access. So this way we can protect the console port of router. We can protect the enable mode of router. Till now we understood two types of protection, right? Third basic configuration on router is this one. This command is going to encrypt. Yeah, what you want to clarify? We can check it. We can check that on router. So users, you can see one user with name admin have console access, right? If there is any user who have telnet access, you will get that information as well here. Okay, even the location, time, everything we can see. 1 minute. So guys, like not only router, in this way we can protect the switches as well, firewall as well. Okay, so these are the basic configuration, and after that if you want to protect all the password, you can use this command, service password encryption. Now you can see on the router some passwords are visible, right, in the plain text. So run. In the running configuration you can see we have one enable password, we have enable secret, and some username, some users are there, username and password admin and Praphul. Then on the line console interface, here also you can see the password. All the passwords are visible, yes or no? If you want to encrypt everything, you can run command service password encryption, and now so run. Now you can see my all the password is encrypted, the enable password also, the username and password also, right, and the line console password also. Here it is. Yeah, correct. Depends on the router memory, right? We cannot create unlimited number of users, depends on the memory of router. Then configuring IP address on router, so command is again you can see same interface. Where I am running this command in the configure mode, interface, then interface type, and then interface ID, right? So interface type can be, as I told you, Ethernet, fast Ethernet or gig Ethernet, right? And by default interface of router is down, so that's why I'm running no shutdown command. And IP address, then whatever IP address you want to configure there, then subnet mask. That's it. After that, the telnet configuration on router, right? So to configure telnet, and you know by default telnet is the only protocol which is enabled on router, but password is not configured for the telnet. So this is the command line VTY04. VTY is what? VTY is nothing but the virtual interface. It is nothing but the virtual interface on router, right? So we are using virtual router for virtual interface for the remote access. Okay, so line VTY04. 04 means 5 users can access this router at a time. If you want only one user should have remote access, you can say line VTY0. If you want 2 users should have telnet access or SSH access, you can say line VTY01, 021. 024 means 5 users, then password, and after that login. Again here, either I can configure login or I can configure login local. Fine. So let's say, for an example, here I have one PC. On fast Ethernet 0/0, right? On fast Ethernet 0/0, I'm going to configure one IP as well, just for the verification. Config T interface F0/0, and you can see the LED of interface is red. That means this port is down now. Once I will run no shutdown command, the color will change. This is not F0/0, it's F0/1. Say no shut. See, the color is changed, and now to configure IP, I can run command IP address 10.1.1.1 255.255.255.0. Guys, if anyone know these all, don't worry, just it will take few minutes more. Okay, so I have configured the IP here. Now I am going to configure IP on PC from the same range 10.2. let's say 10.1.1.2 255.255.0, right? Let me try to ping this router. Ping 10.1.1.1. So I am able to ping. That means I should be able to telnet it. So telnet and 10.1.1.1. What it's saying? Connection to 10.1.1.1 closed by the foreign host. Closed by the foreign host means remote device, means router, right? Now question is, why router closed the session, Praphul? Password. Telnet is enabled, but password is not configured. Let me configure the password, line VTY024, or let's say 0 only, and then password I'm saying Cisco 123, and then login. Just ask for the password only. That's it. Now again let me take you to PC, and again I am going to run same command. Now you can see this time it is asking for the password. Password is Cisco or Cisco 123. Cisco 123. Now you can see I have access of router. Okay. Exit. If I will say login local, then login local, then it will ask for the username and password both. Again, now you can see username, right? So username is admin, password is admin 123. No, admin and Cisco 123, I think. Yeah, this way. Okay, so these are the commands, simple. Then SSH configuration. How to configure SSH? As you know, telnet is not secure protocol. Your data will travel in plain text. Anyone can capture it and read it, right? So in the SSH, data will be encrypted. So for the remote access, guys, we are using SSH only in the real time. If you have 1000 routers in your network, so on all 1000 routers, SSH will be enabled. SSH will be enabled. Okay. And to enable SSH, first of all, we need to create domain. Domain name. We have to define domain name. Why domain name is required? Because SSH is secure. It uses SSL certificate. For the SSL certificate, we need RSA key, and for RSA key, we need domain name. RSA key need domain name, right? So for the SSH, we'll define the domain name, then we'll generate RSA key, and after that we are going to do same thing. We'll create one username, password, then line VTY04, password, login local, and transport input telnet. Transport input telnet, or it can be SSH, or it can be all. So on line VTY interface, you can see transport input. I have three options. All means both telnet and SSH. None means not telnet, not SSH, or it can be SSH or telnet, right? So I can say all, like for both, and then login local, right? So this way the command of telnet and SSH is exactly same. The difference is here we need domain name and RSA key. That's it, right? So here on the router, I can say crypto key generate RSA, right? Even we can define the size. What it's saying when I am running this command, please define a domain name first, right? RSA key need domain name. This is the part of security. When we'll discuss the basic security fundamental, I will cover it, don't worry. Okay, so for now I am going to say IP domain name Cisco, right? And now I can run command crypto key generate RSA. Now you can see it is creating the RSA key. It is asking for the size. Let's say okay, right? Now creating 512 bits RSA key, and key will be non exportable. We cannot export it. That's it. Your SSH configuration is done, right? Now we can access this router through SSH as well. Now to access it, simply on the PC you can run this command SSL, then username, SSL-L, then username, and then IP address of your router, right? Yeah. Huh? That is a part of security. Forget it about this now. That is size of RSA key. See, for you, important is this one, the line VTY04, the password, and login local, transport input SSH. Okay. SSH uses, so your key is strong, like value depends on the key. Like key is going to be how much strongest, right? The higher value is going to create more strongest key. If you will decrease the value, your key is going to be, guys, like we can say opposite of weak. Your key can be weak. Anyone can guess it like that, right? But that is part of security. You don't need to focus over here now, right? Just keep in mind this, that RSA is secure, and for that RSA, like SSH is secure protocol. For the encryption, it will use SSL certificate. For the SSL certificate, they need key, right? So how we'll generate the key? We can run this command crypto key generate RSA on the router, right? So now from the PC, even I can SSH to my router. Command SSH -L, then admin, username, and the IP address 10.1.1.1. You can see it will ask for the username, right? So if you have the username and password, you can access it. What happened? Admin is not there. Admin and 10.1.1.1. Okay, it's not working in packet tracer. It will work, don't worry. Okay, instead of PC, I can here connect the router just to verify it. no enable config t interface f0/0 no cert and IP address 10.1.1.2 255.255.255.0 and ping 10.1.1.1. Reachability must be there, then only you can access. So reachability is there. I'm saying SSH minus L, username is admin, IP address is 10.1.1. You can see it is asking for the password. Okay, so here I have defined the username and here it is asking for the password. If I know the password, PM password was I think Cisco 123. Yes, no Cisco 123, no PM net 123456789. Yeah, whatever password is there I am not able to access because password is incorrect. So here you can verify the password. Username admin net Cisco 123, enable password was pmnet 123456789 and so run. In the running configuration we can check the line VTY configuration. Here you can see the line VTY 0. Here password is this one. I have encrypted the password, so I am not able to see what is the password. Okay, so this way we can configure the SSH and telnet. Then how to configure telnet on layer 2 switch? Because guys, on layer 2 switch we know the layer 2 switch forward traffic on the basis of MAC address, but for the telnet we need what? IP. We need IP. Through IP address only we are accessing the device remotely. So there on the layer 2 switch we can configure IP on the VLAN interface, on the virtual interface, right? So what you can do, you can create a one SVI, one VLAN interface, and there we can define the IP address. After that we can enable telnet on layer 2, because telnet and SSH must be enabled on all the devices, right? Then only you can access it from one centralized location, from your room, from your office. You will have access of all the devices. It is layer 2 device, layer 3 device, firewall, router, switch, net meter, right? So for the layer 2 devices we will have one management VLAN, and for the management VLAN we will have one management IP address. One management IP address will configure on all the devices. When you will learn VLAN you will get it. Clear? Clear? So here you can see how I am creating the VLAN interface. VLAN 1. By the way, by default there is only one VLAN on the switch, VLAN 1, and that is management VLAN only. Okay, so this is the command for the switch. On the switch side you can see I have run these commands, and after that I am able to access it through telnet or SSH, not matter. Then the DHCP configuration on the router, we have already seen this. How we are configuring the DHCP? We are creating the pool, then we are defining the network, default gateway, DNS server IP address, and whatever things are there. Sometimes we need to configure relay agent as well, helper address, DHCP server in the packet tracer, like on the server how we can enable the DHCP. We have covered this also. You have seen this, how we are enabling DHCP service in packet tracer, right? So under service you can see DHCP option. So this way we can create the pool there. Then DNS and DNS, network ID, default gateway, IP address, we can define those all. After that PCs are able to get IP address from the DHCP server. Then the relay agent configuration, simply we need to add this command, IP helper address, and this is the IP address of DHCP server. So I am expecting these all are clear to you, very clear, because we already did many lab on these protocols, application layer protocols. Then there is a static routing. This is not for you now, just close it. Let's come on the booting process again. Okay, any question till here? So before talking about the booting process of device, I covered some basic commands and modes of routers and switches. The user mode, enable mode, configure terminal mode, and interface mode. And now I am going to introduce one more mode, that is called Roman mode. That is called Roman mode. Don't know what is the spelling. Yeah, maybe Roman. Okay. Any question? Anybody? All clear? Right. So this is the basic Cisco iOS. Basic Cisco iOS. Okay. Now the booting process. See, when the device will power on, post process will run. Guys, post process is not only for the routers, it's for the all networking devices. Like when you are power on your laptop or your desktop or your mobile device, right? First of all, what is happening? First of all, my device is performing post process. Post means power on self test. Power on self test. Hardware is, your hardware is actually checking all the hardware components, right? Let's say for an example, your mobile, right? So when you will power on your mobile, first of all, your mobile is going to check all the hardware components, right? If hardware components are fine, working fine properly, then only your mobile will boot up, right? In the same way, Cisco routers, switches, if the routers are not able to boot up, first thing you should verify is hardware. The hardware components are working properly or not. Let's say if your RAM is not working, there is some issue in your RAM, definitely your device will not boot up. There is some issue in flash, right? So your mobile will not boot up. Even the router can boot up because we have the backup iOS in the room, mini iOS, right? So when device, router, switches, firewall will powered on, first of all, post process will run. Post power on self test, where it is going to check there all the hardware. In post process, devices will check that all the hardware's components are working or not, working properly or not. Then bootstrap will run and it will load the iOS image from flash in RAM, right? You know what is bootstrap? Hoping you all know this, right? This is nothing but the small program in all the hardware. In all the hardware, we have a small program. Guys, whenever you are turning on the Windows, right? For a few seconds, you are getting green screen. Green screen. That is nothing but the bootstrap. That is nothing but the bootstrap. Somewhere here you can find the good definition. Framework for building responsive mobile first site. Okay, and these are not for you also, these are for the developers, software developers. Popular front end frame which has a nice setup. Okay, so you can say this is just a program which is going to load the main operating system into the RAM, right? Like any hardware need operating system in the RAM to boot up, right? And who is going to load the operating system in RAM? Your bootstrap. Bootstrap is a small program. It is a small program which is used to load OS, operating system, from flash to RAM, right? So now the first thing is, this is my router. This is my router, and on the router, you know, multiple types of memory are there: RAM, ROM, or let me design like this. This is RAM. This is the flash memory. This is the ROM, and this is the NVRAM. This is the NVRAM. Router. This is my RAM memory. RAM. This is my flash. This is my ROM, and this is my NVRAM. Right? So when I will power on this router, when I will power on this router, what will happen? My router is going to copy operating system in RAM from the flash. Right, here is what? OS, operating system. Right, so boot step is going to load it into RAM. Right, if RAM is not working properly, then you have to change the booting behavior, the default behavior. This is the default behavior. This is default behavior of router. Right, the default behavior is when it will power on, it is going to copy operating system from flash to RAM. Then it will check NVRAM. Is there any data available in the NVRAM? If yes, then it will copy that into RAM and it will boot up. You will get access in user mode. Right? If there is nothing in NVRAM, it will not copy. It will ignore and it will boot up with the default configuration. The default configuration which is present in the OS, in the operating system. Right? So like whenever I am accessing the router for the first time, you can see some configurations are already there. Right, so those are part of operating system only. Those are part of operating system only. Right, see, my device is now booting. Booting means it's doing nothing. The post power on self test and taking the OS from flash to RAM. And then here you can see I got the access in user mode. Once it will copy the flash, the operating system from the flash to RAM, it will boot up. Right, it will check the NVRAM. If there is any data in the NVRAM, it will copy that in RAM and then it will boot up. Right, so run. You can see these are the default configuration on router. Right, the total length of configuration, the default configuration is on this router is 602 bytes. Total length of configuration is this one. Right, the version of configuration is version of operating system. Right, this is not the version of hardware. The version of operating system is 15.1. Right, it is talking about some services. Then host name, by default host name of my router is router. Right, then some services are enabled here like SAF. IPSAF command is already running. No IPv6 SAF. SAF is disabled for IPv6. SAF is enabled for IPv4. Then here is my license. Then spanning tree mode. These are the default configuration. You will learn later what is a spanning tree protocol. Then interfaces configurations are there. You can see how many interfaces are there. 2. Fast Ethernet 0/0, slot number 0, port number 0, and interface this one. By default interface is shut down. The speed is auto and duplex is also auto. Right, so duplex can be simplex, half duplex or full duplex, but the configuration is auto, means it will negotiate from their neighbor device. And no IP address. IP address is not configured there. Right, then one virtual interface is there, that is VLAN 1. That is VLAN 1. Right, then some classes, some configuration, line console 0. The console port is already configured. That's why you are able to access this router through console port. Right, there is one more port for the access, that is auxiliary port, and then line VTY 04. 4 line VTY interfaces are configured for the remote access, but the password is not configured and login command is enabled. That's it. This is the default configuration. Where this configuration is present? This configuration is present in the operating system, in the flash memory. Right, so router have copied it and it have boot up. Clear? So guys, while troubleshooting, we can identify these all things. Right, let's say my router is not boot up, like not able to boot up. When I am turning on the device, I am getting some error. Right, so I have to change the booting behavior, means I have to tell to router that brother, do not copy operating system from the flash, just look up ROM for the operating system. Right, and what is the first topic of today? Configuration revision number. To change the booting behavior of router, we are using this number, configuration revision number. Right, so see, the default configuration revision number on the router is, you can find it in show version. Here is the configuration revision number, configuration register number. Again and again I am saying revision, guys, ignore it. Configuration register number is what? 0x2102. This is hexadecimal representation, right? So the behavior, booting behavior which we discussed here is the booting behavior of this configuration revision number, sorry, register number. This is the booting behavior of this configuration register number, right? If I am going to change it, then maybe behavior can be different. So let's say for an example on this router, I have one router, someone has configured the password there. Someone has configured the password and you don't know the password. And they save the configuration, right? So now when your router is going to boot up, first it will copy operating system from the from the flash, then it will copy the NVRAM information. Router, RAM, flash and NVRAM, right? So where is the password saved? Password is saved over here, right? Password is saved over here and your configurations are also there, right? So you don't know the password, you are going to turn off the device, you are going to turn on the device. What will happen? Again router is going to copy OS from the flash to RAM and it will copy the NVRAM data, means password. So we can change the booting behavior. We can tell to router that brother, just boot up by copying the operating system from the flash. Do not check NVRAM information. So what will happen in that scenario? In that scenario, it will not copy the password. It will not copy the password in RAM, right? Means your router is not going to ask you for the password. And after that, you can check what? A startup configuration NVRAM data. There you can see the password. And then you can manually run command, copy a startup configuration to running configuration. Then you can manually copy NVRAM data into RAM. Then if you want to remove the password, you can remove it. If you want to change it, you can change it. Is it clear? Nothing. Okay, so this is the default configuration register number. Here is the step you can see, right? Even if there is TFTP configure on the router, then it will look up TFTP as well for the configuration. Let's say if you have saved the configuration on TFTP server and you want your router should copy the configuration from TFTP server, it is also possible, right? And if the iOS is not found, then router will not boot up, right? Then we have to load mini iOS from the room. Okay, so here are the mode. And again some configuration like host name, banner configuration, the password, encrypting all the password, interface configuration, this blah blah blah. Right? So see, to break the password, you have to learn what? Configuration register number. Right? So guys, configuration register number is nothing but the 16 bits value represented in hexadecimal and it is stored in NVRAM. By default, configuration revision number is this one, and you know the booting behavior of this configuration revision number. It tells router, it tells the booting behavior of router, like how to boot, right? Which memory you should look up for what type of data, right? And these three are important configuration register number that you need to learn. 0x2102, this one is the default one, and these two you need to learn. 0x2100 and 0x2142. Right? And now question is, Praphul, if I don't know the password, then how I can change the configuration revision number? So that's why we have another mode called Roman mode, right? So guys, what is the use of Roman mode here? Roman mode is used to play with operating system, with OS. It is used to play with OS, operating system. Question is how I can enter in Roman mode. So while booting you can press Control plus C. While booting press Control plus C, right? So like say on this router I am going to configure something first. I am going to configure, let's say, host name, configure, and host name CCNA and CCNP, right? Then I have configure enable password Cisco @123. Then I have configure let's say line console 0 password again Cisco 123 and login. I have created some user here, user admin and password Cisco or admin 123, admin @123, right? One more user, let's say Praphul and the password Praphul @123, right? So some configurations are there. Let me configure IP on interface also. IP address 10.1.1.1 255.255.255.0, right? Now I'm going to save this configuration, right? So I use write command here, WRITE, right? Or you can use copy running configuration to a startup configuration. Both command will do same task. This is the short command. Done. So I have configured the password on line console. So if I will exit from here, you can see now it is asking for the password. In case if I don't know the password, what I will do, I will turn off the device, and then again I will turn on. And while booting, see my device is booting, I will press Control plus C. Now here is the Roman mode. You can see I am entered in Roman mode, and see in Roman mode what you can do. So these are the commands available that you can use in Roman mode, right? First one is boot, second one is config, dir, we can check the directory, we can use help, we can reset the device, we can use set command, we can call tftp and unset, right? For the configuration register number, if you want to change the configuration register number, you can use this command, you can see, right? For the boot up an external process, we can use boot command here. To check the directory, I can use this command, right? I can use help command to monitor, like to get some help. To reset the system, I can use reset command, right? Now I don't know which configuration revision number, Praphul, I should use so that my router will not copy NVRAM data, right? So here is the answer. Here is the answer. Here is the not answer. Let me check if there is another file. How to break the password on Cisco router? Yes, this one. These are the basics. So okay, yes. So how many types of password can be configured on router? Console password, enable secret, and line BTY password, right? So we can break these all types of password with the help of configuration register number. What is configuration register number? You already know this, right? Now memory of router, you already know the memory of router as well, right? Where is your password saved? Your password saved is NVRAM, and by default router is copying the data of NVRAM in RAM. This is the reason why it's asking for the password, right? So this behavior you can see, booting behavior of 0x2102 is this one. RAM is going to copy iOS from the flash and NVRAM data. But see this configuration revision, configuration register value behavior. If I am going to configure this configuration register value, then it will not copy NVRAM data from, NVRAM data in RAM. It will only copy flash. It will only copy iOS from the flash and boot up, right? So let me copy this revision number and I am going to change it on the router. So on the router, here is my Roman mode, say config and paste it. What it's saying? Not found. Yeah, okay. Config and paste the configuration revision number. Yes, done. Command accepted. Now I can use reset command here. Right, now you can see my device is booting, and this time device is not going to copy NVRAM data in RAM, so it will not ask for the password. You can see, right? This is the default configuration. You can see host name, right? Now I can check the NVRAM data by running command show startup configuration, and here is my startup configuration. Now you can see, I can see the password. Okay, this was the password. Okay, this was the user. Okay, interface configuration, right? But right now my router is not using this configuration, guys. Right, in the RAM you can see, in the NVRAM data the host name is this one, but in the RAM configuration, according to the RAM configuration, host name is this one, default. Right, so now I can here copy startup configuration to running configuration. Yes, and then I can say no enable password. Right, I can say line console 0 no password, or I can configure my password now. Right, password, let's say 123 this way, and then I can say login. So now you can see the host name is changed, password is changed. I have removed the enable configuration, so if I will exit from here, no worry. Right, it is asking for the console password. Console password I have set 123 here, so 123. See, now the issue is still there. What is the issue? Issue is show version. So right, config register value, right? My router is not going to copy the NVRAM data in future as well. Whenever device will goes down or it will come up, it will not copy the configuration automatically. So now here we can again set the default configuration register number. Configuration register number. Default one was what? This one. This one. Yeah. No, we not lost the configuration. We have still same configuration. You can see here. Now I have saved the configuration, change the configuration register value as well. But configuration register value is still this one. So what it's saying? Will be this one at the next reload. So now I can reload my router, right? Now I can reload my router. So after the reload, we'll get same register value. Yeah. Now you can do it in this way, na? Like Brother, I did same in front of you and I didn't lose the configuration. You can see I have the configuration, right? I have the configuration. I did not configure this device again. Right? So this way you can reset the password. 1, 2, 3. You can see. Right? And now, like we can save the configuration on server as well, on a different server. We can save it. Like for an example, I'm going to take on phrase router here. Right? And I want to save the configuration of all router. This is R2. Let me delete this console. Not required now. R1, R2. Interfaces I need to add here. More interfaces are required. So, yeah. Am I audible? Yeah. One more thing, like if your flash memory is corrupted, then what you will do? Then you can see we have another type of configuration register value, right? Where you can see it is copying iOS from the room, right? So if I will set this configuration register value on the router, my router is going to check room memory. From there it will load the mini iOS. Okay, so these 3 configuration revision number are important for you. Correct. No, it will not automatically. We have to change the configuration revision number. Yeah. No, exactly same. After that you can repair the RAM. You will have less memory. Like let's say this router is able to store 10,000 routes in the routing table with flash memory. It might be possible when you will load the operating system from the ROM, that in that time it can store only 500 routing table, 500 routes in the routing table. Right? That depends on the platform of devices. Right? Which type of devices we have. Let's configure this scenario. Yeah, we can check the logs. You will have logs for each and every task. Whatever task we are performing on the router is saving the logs, right? So we can check that. Right, like user will complain that around 12 p.m. in the night we were not able to access the internet. You are the network engineer, in morning you are going to check the logs at that time. you will see the logs that someone were changing the booting behavior there, right? Someone were changing the configure register number. So we can see that. Okay. Interface F0/0 no sat IP address 10.1.1.1 255.255.255.0. Now again host name CCNA and CCNP for an example, and enable password is Cisco 123. For an example, this is my configuration, right? Now I want to save this configuration on this server, on this TFTP server. I need backup. Backup of configuration is required, very important. So first of all, I am going to set up the server. I am going to enable TFTP service here, right? Server need one IP address 10.1.1.2 255.255.255.0. Gateway IP address is 10.1.1.1, and the DNS server IP address is, let's say for an example, 8.8.8. Right? Then go to services, and in the services somewhere you will find TFTP. Here you can see by default the service is enabled, and these are the files, right? If you want to remove any file, you can remove it, right? Now I am going to save my configuration of this router, right? So here I can run command copy running configuration. If you want to save running configuration to TFTP, or if you want to save a startup configuration, you can do it, right? Both. So copy running configuration to TFTP, right? Now it is asking for the address of TFTP server 10.1.1.2. Then destination file name, it is going to save with this file name default, right? So let's say okay, default is fine, and now you can see it is saving the configuration on server, and it saved the configuration. Now we can check the directory of TFTP server here. Yes, and you can see the configuration. Configuration is available there. Fine. Now I'm going to, let's say, replace this router, right? I'm going to replace this router here. So I don't need to configure the router again. I don't need to configure the router again because my configuration is already saved on the TFTP server. My configuration is already saved on the TFTP server. Simply I can configure one IP address, and then I can copy the configuration. Okay, again the port is not available, we need to add. Okay, leave it for now. See, on the router, this is a new router. Only thing is reachability. For the reachability, I am going to configure IP address. So you only need to configure IP, and rest all configuration can be restored from the TFTP server. Interface F0/0. Always keep in mind, for the any service, to access any service, IP reachability must be there, right? So no sat and IP address 10.1.1.1 255.255.255.0. Let me ping to TFTP server, ping 10.1.1.2. You can see I'm able to ping. So copy TFTP to running configuration, right? Now asking for the IP address of TFTP 10.1.1.2. Asking for the source file name. What should be the file name? Right? File name is, let's say, CCNA, and or I am saying R1 config, right? This should be the file name. Now it is asking for the destination file name. So guys, you know, in TFTP we have to provide exact path, because here we cannot browse the data, right? So this is the name. Here is the name. We can copy it. We are not able to copy it. I have to type it manually. Name is CCNA and CCNP hyphen CONFG. Yes, and enter. Invalid. What is the error? Okay. The spelling is incorrect. Again, copy address 10.1.1.2, the source file name. Source file name is going to be CCNA CCNP hyphen config. Right, the destination file name R1 config. No. 2 source file name CCNA and CCNP config CCNA and CCNP config. It should work. Why it's not working, don't know, but this way only we can now copy the configuration from TFTP server to running configuration on the router. Don't know why it's not working. It should work. Copy TFTP to running configuration. The address or name of remote host address is 10.1.1.2. Asking for the source file name. Source file name is this one only. CCNA. I is not there, I think. I is not there. You can try it. It will work. 100% it will work. 10.1.1.2 source file name CCNA and the destination file name the running config. Okay, source file name is source file name is same CCNA and CCNP hyphen CONFG. Yeah, now you can see. Copy it. 795 bytes of information, right? So that's why you can see your host name is changed. Your host name is changed to CCNA and CCNP. Means we have loaded the configuration. Yes? Correct. Source means the file name. Yeah, on the TFTP. Anything else? Right. So guys, now we are done with the basic module. We are done with the basic module. In basic module, we have covered all the topics, right? Now you need to practice. You need to practice, you need to revise, you need to configure, you need to test everything by yourself once. Now tell me, first you guys want to learn switching or routing? Between routing and switching, it's your choice. Yeah, already this one. Switching now? Switching. Yes. So from the tomorrow, we will be talking. You have already this PPT, brother. Okay, if it is not available, I will upload it on the drive, okay? All the PPT which I have used here today. So guys, from the tomorrow we will be talking about the switch. Before that, I have some time, 10 minutes. So let's discuss one important topic. So here I am going to design one network for a company. Let's say XYZ company, XYZ Corp. Right. This company need 200 need to connect 100 PCs at each floor in the building and there are 5 floors. There are 5 floors. So can you design the network? Your main subnet is, let's say, main subnet is 192.168.0.0/16. Can you guys divide it? Can you guys design the network? Yes. I know in each department I need 100 number of IP addresses. So what should be the CIDR? What should be the CIDR for 100 IP addresses? Very good. I was expecting same. Right. So first subnet is second subnet, then failed. Then okay, what will be the last IP address of first subnet? Last IP of first subnet. 127. 6. Okay, let's say broadcast is this one. Okay. Good. Here 254. Correct. Then what will be the next subnet? 192.168.0.0/25, 192.168.0.128/25, then 1.0/25, then 1.128/25. So done. We have only 5 floors. Right. Now at each floor, which device you are going to use? Let's say this is floor number 1, floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, 4 and 5. Okay, and here I have PCs. Right. So we need a centralized device at each floor to connect these all computers together. Which device I will use? Switch. Here I can connect all the computers through this switch, right? Guys, here I can have multiple switch as well or single switch as well. Depends on number of ports in all the buildings. Now question is how we are going to connect all the buildings together. You know, in each building we have different subnet, right? We cannot connect all the switches together. Can I connect? Yeah, I cannot connect like this, right? No, it will not work. So here we need now L3 device, right? So we have, guys, two types of switch, L2 switch, L2 switch and L3 switch, right? Till now we learned L2 switch, and L3 switch is nothing but the router, right? L3 switch perform like build or maintain routing table to forward the traffic like router. Then what is the difference between L3 switch and router? L3 switch can only perform routing, right? Router can perform routing as well as edge technologies, like we can configure the NAT here, we can configure the VPN here, we can configure the IPsec here, right? Which are not possible. So switch is going to connect only Ethernet port, right? Only Ethernet port. But router can connect multiple types of port. So here definitely to connect multiple access layer switches we can have layer 3 switch. Either we can have one layer 3 switch at each building, or I can have only one layer 3 switch which is connected with all the access layer switches this way. But I cannot connect layer 3 switch directly to the internet. I will not connect layer 3 switch to internet this way. Or I can have two multi-layer switch here for the redundancy. Because why, guys? See, if I have only one switch here, then there is no redundancy, right? We can, like, if I want to perform load balancing between two floors, I can't, because there is only one path. So here I can have two multi-layer switch, and then we can connect all the access layer switches to both distribution layer switch, like L3 switch this way. This is the best network designing, right? So if I will talk about the Cisco network designing, so Cisco has one architecture, their architecture for the network designing. What Cisco tells, see, whenever we are designing a network for a company, few things we need to keep in mind, like network should be scalable. Scalable means network should be able to handle some extra clients. When business will grow, then let's say maybe I need to add 10 more employees in each floor, at each floor. So we have already free IP addresses. We should have also port available on the switches. Let's say to add one new extra client, if I need to add one more switch at each floor, and I need to add switch on distribution layer, like on the layer 3 switch, that means network is not scalable. Many things we need to configure then, right? So my network should be scalable, means easily we should be able to increase the clients or sites, ports. Then network should be secure. Network should be easy management, right? Network should be efficient, right? And to achieve these all things, what we did, we divide the entire network designing into layers. As you know, like we divide anything to make it easy, yes or no? Right? So the complex process is divided into three parts, right? And that is called again layers, right? The first layer is called access layer. First layer is called access layer. Second layer is called distribution layer. Distribution layer. And the third layer is called core layer. Third layer is called core layer. Core layer. Access layer is going to connect all end devices, means devices of employees, computers, servers, IP phone, IP cameras, IoT devices, whatever networking devices you have, the clients are using, right? Which layer is responsible to add them together? Access layer. So in my scenario, you can see these access switches, right? In each building, I have one switch to connect all computer together. So these are nothing but the access layer switches who is connecting devices. Here we can have access point as well to connect and devices wirelessly to the network. Can have. And then distribution layer. Distribution layer is going to distribute the traffic to the access layers. Like here you can see in my design, how many access layer switches are there? 4. How many distribution layer switches are there? 2. Right? So let's say from the another branch, if this distribution layer is receiving a traffic, it is distribution layer is going to distribute it into multiple switches, into the multiple floors, right? From all the sides, like I have 100 number of remote side, so from all the sides distribution layer is going to receive the traffic, and after that it will be redistributing to multiple access layer. Yes or no? Or we can say when access layer, like all the access layers are going to generate the traffic, so distribution layer are combining the traffic from access layer. It is combining all the traffic from access layer together, and then it will forward to upper layer, which is my core layer, right? So the benefit of using distribution layer over here is what? Here we can configure the policy. Policy means, let's say I want that this floor and this floor should not be able to communicate with each other. We can configure policy here, right? If we want to perform load balancing between floor 1 and floor 2, I can, because I have 2 number of path, right? So here we can implement the policies according to our requirement. We can configure the security, we can configure the load balancing, load sharing, we can configure the redundancy. Like we can say this switch is my active switch and this switch should be a standby switch. Like until and unless active switch is up, all traffic should go through active switch, switch 1. But in case if this switch is not available, down, then traffic should go through switch number 2. So these are the benefit here. And then the main layer of your network, that is the core layer, which is responsible for high speed connectivity. High speed connectivity, right? So now here you can see between the building, which layer is performing routing? Distribution layer. These switches are performing routing, right? These are layer 3 switch, means it can perform routing, right? It will have routing table. In the routing table we will have all these 5 subnets. It can route the traffic between all the floors. It will receive traffic from floor 1, then it can route it to floor 2. So distribution layer is also responsible for internal routing, how these all floors are going to communicate with each other. But your core layer is responsible for internal and external routing. Like if this company side, this branch want to communicate with remote side, then traffic will go through core layer, right? So if I will talk about the network design, how we are going to design the network, I will have lots of access layer switches. This is the best and common design for the branches. Let's say I am designing network for branch 1, right? For the DC, for the data center or headquarter, I will have more stable network, more scalable network, right? This is the common design. Here I have lots of access layer switches to connect lots of end devices together, right? Then I will have 2 distribution layer switches minimum, and all the access layer switches will be connected with both distribution layer switches this way. Now here many problems are there, like you can see the topology is in loop, right? The topology is in loop, guys. This is what, one loop, yes or no? Right? So like traffic can use this path and it will be moving for the lifetime. So we need to learn the protocols here, right, to avoid this loop. And like this many issues are there. Okay, what I am saying that here multiple protocol will configure and we need to learn those all protocol, and then we are going to connect my distribution layer switches to core layer. At core layer again I can have either one device or I can have 2 devices. If I have only one device, that means there is no redundancy, so I can have 2 router here, high configuration routers, right? And we can connect again both distribution layer switches like this, right? To increase the bandwidth between switches, here we can connect some cable as well between the distribution layer switches, right? So first we are going to learn this network configuration, how we are going to configure this network, how to make this network best to best, how many possible configurations are there, how many things we can achieve, redundancy, load balancing, security, policies, everything we are going to implement here in this network, right? First in the switching module you are going to learn this section, right? And after that we will implement the core layer. For now you can forget about the core layer, and then later we'll connect core layer to ISP, will connect core layer to ISP this way. And guys, like this, if I have multiple sides, so another side will be also connected with this ISP in the same way. In the same way, if I have one more side here, one more side is there, so you know both ISPs, all the ISPs are connected together. You know all the ISPs are connected together. That means we can make communication between these 2 sides. Now it might be possible this is my branch 1 and this is my branch 2. So we'll see how to make communication between branch 1 and branch 2. So for next few days, let's say for 15 to 20 days, we need to understand this network architecture configuration, designing everything, right? Once you will be able to understand how these 2 sides are going to communicate with each other in secure environment, after that we'll understand the advanced implementation here. Okay, so this is our plan. So till now I have only covered the basic module, and tomorrow I am going to start your switching. Basic, then switching, then routing, and then policing everything like the Advanced. Giving a policy like where we will be talking about the monitoring tool, how to check the temperature, device health, how we'll be monitoring the network, how we can improve the network performance, those things, right? So routing, and I am saying advanced module, then advanced. Okay, after that you can go for exam, you can go for job, then where you want to use the knowledge. Got it? Yeah, yeah, go ahead.